Welcome back to the Driveway Beers podcast with Mike and Alex. As always, we appreciate you listening. Please rate us on all the podcast platforms. Like, subscribe, comment, share wherever else you're listening, and enjoy the show. All right, welcome back to another episode. We appreciate you coming back as always. Check out AnnapolisHomeExperts.com. If you need a real estate agent, go check out Brian Schilling with Long & Foster Real Estate. AnnapolisHomeExperts.com is the place to go. I'm doing a mixed cocktail tonight. We have Josh with us. He's also doing his mixed cocktail tonight. And Mike are you doing mixed or no?
No.
Excuse me.
Uncle Nearest, straight.
Uncle Nearest, straight.
Neat.
So this is the Uncle Nearest, 1885?
1884.
1884. All right,
Yeah.
So the reason why I picked that one up, I was able to get it at Costco out in D.C. That was part of the Woodford Double Oaked Angels Envy trip. And $40 for the Uncle Nearest, 1884. And I've heard good things about it. And as a mixer, it's actually really pretty good. But anything tastes good with ginger ale. I mean,
I heard they're just going to change his name to Nearest.
Nearest? No Uncle.
No Uncle. Yeah, they want to. I heard they want to get rid of all these like names and be like Uncle Ben, aunts. I can't. There was an aunt that they wanted to.
Aunt Jemima?
Oh, that's her. Yeah.
What is the?
And Uncle Nearest.
Pearl Milling now.
Yeah,
I
won't buy it. Like, I don't even care if it's on sale. I'll spend a little bit more money.
Is that what that is now? Pearl Milling?
Yeah,
it used to be Aunt Jemima.
Yeah. I still have one of the...
the shock on your face right now.
First of all, what's wrong with Aunt Jemima? What did she ever do to anybody?
No, nothing. And here's what's great. So I still have one of the syrup bottles shaped like her. And what I do is I just, whatever syrup I buy, I pour it into that because the kids like it. It's just, it's...
Isn't the bottle still shaped the same way? They just changed the name on it.
No, I don't think so.
No, because I went to Sam's and I bought a big thing of syrup because my kids drink it. And I don't use syrup. I'm not a... When it comes to breakfast, I'm the savory guy. I want sausage, home fries, bacon, eggs. I'm not the pancakes and French toast and waffle guy. So, but my kids like it, and they want syrup, so You
bought woke syrup and didn't even know.
But it's disguised. It's an infiltrator.
Oh yeah, no, it's like Pearl Milling.
That sounds like Pearl Milling conglomerate.
Mm-hmm. No, that's old. That's old Aunt Jemima for you.
I'm gonna throw it out.
Yeah,
I'm not.
No, you don't waste syrup.
I can make my own. It's so easy to make.
Or whatever.
It's 1 part water to 1 part brown sugar to 1 part white sugar.
Okay. As soon as you got past 1 part, that's not
because syrup is 1 part syrup.
Yeah, right. You just buy it. It's ready to go. It's ready to rock and roll.
And then you just boil it until it gets thick.
I can't roll that way.
Oh,
look, I grew up in halfway to Canada, where maple syrup.
You just go to a tree.
It came from a tree, right?
So I don't like maple syrup.
It's super sweet.
Yeah,
with nothing added to it. Man, it's sweet. I mean, but that's why they always tell you, and I think they're full of crap. They're always like, "Oh, you just used less." No, I'm not using less. I'm using it the same, and I'm just eating the sugar.
Because I want the when I do eat pancakes, I want the pancakes to achieve. Like, I don't want a dry pancake, and then I want them all to be uniform, consistent.
Now let me ask you this: do you put your syrup like on the side, like do you like pour it onto the plate and then dip your pancakes into the syrup, or do you like kind of go back and forth?
Yeah,
and kind of paint.
Yeah, I drench
the pancake.
Right. I drench it too.
But
like my kids, they're like, "No, put it off to the side," and I'm like, "What are you doing? You're wasting
diet.
So much effort." No, I'm like, you don't have to do the dip, and even if you wanted to do the dip, it just inherently becomes a pool.
Eventually.
Doesn't it just seep into the bottom pancake anyway?
Yeah. So I like to get the hot pancake, butter.
I do like butter.
Syrup.
Yeah.
Hot syrup. I don't do cold syrup.
Room temp.
But yeah, I like how you had to emphasize a hot pancake too. Like, is there a cold pancake?
Yeah, I don't know.
Some people don't like their food warm, and I'm not going to mention any names, but I made breakfast for these people, and they show up to my breakfast table whenever. And if you want to eat cold eggs, you eat cold eggs. I timed everything perfectly. There's hot pancakes, hot home fries, bacon, eggs. Everything's ready to go. And you choose to do whatever, then you can eat cold eggs.
Hey, but eggs, in my experience, does cool off the fastest out of most of the breakfast.
Yeah. And they're also the
entrees.
nastiest cold.
Oh, I don't know.
I
don't mind it.
I can.
I don't mind
cold
it.
scrambled egg? Cold fried egg?
Well, scrambled. Well, I mean, is the middle still runny? Because then I want it hot. If it's solid,
Is there any other way to eat it?
Wait, we have
some
scrambled
people do fried.
and like fried.
I like my scrambled eggs.
Fried or sunny side up. Fried and sunny side up they're in the same.
Well, sunny side up is just a version of a fried egg. You can do like
it's
over
just not
light,
flipped.
over easy, right? Sunny side up is not flipped, and then you've got like over light, which was turned over, but the yolk's still running. Then you've got then there's like hard yolk, which is just, to me, might as well just give it to the dog.
Oh no, hard yolk. No, that hard yolk is something when you leave it cooking for too long, and you're like, I guess I'm making another egg.
Yeah,
I don't mind it. Like a fried egg with the yolk.
See, there are all these people that are all paranoid and afraid of germs. And
not me. I just think it tastes good.
Right. No. And you might like it that way, but there are other people that like read the labels like undercooked food may cause food. Those people
eat eggs raw.
Yeah, you can eat. I did it for my kids one time.
I do it.
They thought it was cool. I was like, watch this. And, like, it wasn't enjoyable. When that egg gets like almost solid in the middle, it reminds me of like a hard boiled egg. Yeah. And I'm like, that's not what I'm eating here.
Right.
Like it's warm. It's breakfast. It should there's two worlds should not collide. No.
So when I get eggs over easy or even over medium a little bit, so not still runny, right? I always want it with white toast, and I make myself a little egg on toast with the runniness that seeps into the bread. That's the way I like that.
Sandwich?
Yeah. No, just open like an open face sandwich. They literally bring you the egg, and I cut it to break it, and then I just scoop it up on top of the toast.
Oh yeah.
See, I just dip the toast. Some people call them dippy eggs because you can dip the toast in.
Well, yeah. Now, if you don't have toast, what's the point in having dippy eggs?
Oh, I do it with bacon. If you're watching your carbs, just use bacon.
Just use bacon.
Bacon's the best of all. Now, do you let your sweet breakfast foods, i.e. your syrup, intermingle with your savory breakfast foods?
No.
I'm a strict segregationist when it comes to that.
Sweet stay sweet, savory taste.
You don't put syrup with your sausage?
No.
Okay,
no.
So
although I do like maple sausage.
So what I do, and I grew up doing this, I remember like every weekend my grandfather would take me to McDonald's and I'd get the hotcakes and sausage and stuff like that, and that's how I started doing it. So I do a fork, I grab a pancake, and then a piece of sausage, and then another piece of pancake, all on the same fork. So it's like pancake, sausage, pancake.
Breakfast sausage is the only one that I think I have done and is okay. But I'm not mixing eggs and syrup.
Eggs and syrup, no way.
There's a guy I used to work with a dude. He would get he'd get a short stack and then eggs, and take the over easy egg and put it on top of his pancakes.
Oh no!
And dump syrup over all of it.
Oh no!
And I was like, dude, why don't you just put that in a blender?
What about bacon and syrup?
Only because I don't want to waste the bacon.
So
bacon is that valuable.
So you started this by saying you don't let your savory food touch any syrup, and then as we progressed,
I don't choose to. No, I don't choose to. But if it's there, I'm not going to throw a piece of bacon out. What am I, a communist?
Now, what about ketchup with your eggs?
It's forbidden. Verboten.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Me either. Yeah, no, I'm with you. But people do it.
Ketchup can go on home fries.
Home fries. For sure.
I'm not a big ketchup guy. I don't put ketchup on anything.
I'll do ketchup on home fries in the
yeah.
But it can't mix. That cannot mix. Absolutely not.
I'm not a big fan of home fries. Like if I'm going to have like a potato, I want it to be like a McDonald's style hash brown patty.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm with you on that one.
Those are delicious.
Yeah. Those.
And I'll dip that.
But you know what though? But if you get rid of that like stigma and just let yourself enjoy some home fries, it's kind of the same. And I've gotten myself to the point where I can do that. If you just close your eyes, you can almost imagine it's a McDonald's hash brown.
But why imagine when they have it?
Well, not necessarily. They may not have it if you go to IHOP, they're not going to have it.
There is a local, actually IHOP. Their hash browns, they do shredded potato and they mash them down into a patty and they
It's almost like a latke.
And they fried it in both sides on the flat top. Don't sleep on the IHOP hash brown.
There's something about IHOP though that I'm only borrowing IHOP.
Oh yeah, right.
We're going.
It's the breakfast Taco Bell. Yeah.
We're going let's go to IHOP and then we can go home.
Well,
the food store right up the street, you can buy the hash browns like the same shape and the size, they're not bad.
See, my next purchase, because I like all my cooking gadgets, is I found a double basket electric countertop deep fryer.
Aren't they all electric?
No, you get a propane one.
A propane
deep fryer?
Oh, deep fryer. I thought you said air fryer.
Commercial ones are propane.
No. I heard air fryer.
Yeah. Deep fryer. See, you're a fryer. You automatically put
air fryer.
You're like, no, deep, real, doing real for real.
Speaking of air fryers, ours sucks.
Air fryers, you like mimic it in the oven, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, you convinced me.
It cooks so much faster in the air fryer, though.
It does.
Yeah.
So we bought a well-named brand air fryer.
We can't say it because they're not a sponsor.
I'll say it because they suck.
Okay.
It was Cuisinart, like a decent brand.
Is it?
It's got the 2 dials, and kind of like my Yukon's AC knobs that I had to spray the spray in the electric contact spray to make them so they move correctly. So like it'll move, but like the numbers will go down if I turn it right, and they should be going up.
It wants.
Yeah. Right. Well, now the Cuisinart dials are now kind of doing the same thing. Like I'll turn it left and it's going the wrong way. So like I'll be turning it up to go like from 5 to 10 minutes, and it's going like 5, 7, 3, 4, 2. Eventually, I will get up to 10 if I just keep turning it enough.
See, mine's digital.
I probably should have gone digital.
Well, just use that contact spray on it.
I don't know how to get the knobs off on this one.
How long have you had it?
Less than a year.
Oh, really?
Mine just has buttons. It doesn't
like mine, I can there's like up arrows and down arrows, and it's like a digital display for like time and temperature.
That's where I got to go. I got to get. Look, the next one we get will.
My sister gave it to me. She had it and didn't want it anymore. Otherwise,
well, you got like the high end. Yours is the Ninja.
Oh, is it? Oh, it is a Ninja. Yeah, he's right.
That's top end. I do like the air fryer. If the knobs work properly, I wouldn't have an issue with it.
I like to when I make French fries in the air fryer. I add some oil to it. Oh yeah. Yeah,
mine's got like an open basket on the bottom. So if I put oil in, it's just gonna go. Yeah. It's gonna go right through.
I'm the same way because I'll do bacon in there.
It crisps it up a little bit.
Yeah, so I'll do my bacon in there, and then
just go in the pan.
No, you put it on the food when it's in like.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
you like coat them,
and then you kind of toss it in there because my basket it's like a bucket, and it has the thing to raise it, and I just toss it and then get it in there, and it gives it that nice like just crisp on the outside.
Yeah, no, I use it a lot. It's on my countertop. I don't even put it away. I use it so often. It's just
like, resides there.
Yeah, it just resides.
We use it for everything. We use it more as like the toaster conventional oven. We'd use the air fryer for the frozen foods. But that is not what we came here to talk about today.
You wouldn't have known.
So yeah, so far this Uncle Nearest is not. It's for $40. It's not bad.
I think it's good.
I don't think. I mean, I kind of think the Four Roses at 20 is probably still the winner in that low proof area. Mm-hmm. Just because you can get 2 of those from one of these.
Yeah.
But I'm also using it as a mixer though. I didn't try it like you are. I just think we were really impressed with that Four Roses when we had it. But
yeah, I mean this is good.
Yeah,
it's
not hurting you.
No. Well, it's funny. The more I drink it neat, the more I like prefer. Like when I drink it with ice, it's almost. So I went out Saturday night and I had. So it was nice to have a bartender make an old fashioned for me rather than me murder it myself. So I did that, and then I was having Makers and ginger, but I almost prefer it just like this, just neat. It's nice to just sit and relax.
I'm one of those weirdos. If I have a mixed drink, I like it light on the alcohol. Like I almost want it so I don't taste any alcohol whatsoever, because that means I can enjoy the drink and then have another one and not get banged up.
Well, if you can't taste that's how you get white girl wasted.
That's true. We've seen me white girl wasted. It's not nice. It's no fun. All right, so we came here to talk about, by the way, today is January 29th. It is the day after the AFC and NFC Championships games. We have made no bones about who we root for on this show. We are Ravens fans, and we are downtrodden.
It's sad.
Very sad. It was funny. Like, our group chat was lit up day of, couple days before, day before. And then as soon as it went down, as soon as the last 4 minutes of the fourth quarter, it was just dead silent there.
I had caught myself. I was on YouTube Monday, Tuesday, like early in the week, just watching stuff. You know, the adrenaline was already pumping, and I'm like, I got 5 days to go. Like, I don't know how I'm going to handle this, and it just kept increasing and kept increasing, and oh man, and it wasn't too long after kickoff that well,
it was hard not to get into the old mindset of, well, before it was they do really good, and we were always expecting the turn for the worse. It never got to the really good part. But for some reason I kept having the idea that, second half, it's going to be just like last week. They're going to make the right adjustments, and they're just going to blow out the Chiefs. And it just never came.
I think they 100% could have.
I think so too.
But why did they get conservative? Why did they come out so conservative?
Well, they didn't run the ball.
Well, right. And the thing is that the Chiefs were blitzing. So that kind of eliminated the run. But on the other side of that, what we didn't do is we didn't adjust our routes for the quick slant routes. When if they're sending everyone, it's man coverage on the out. You know, on our wide receivers, on the tight end that's going out. So just quick passes. That's what they did to us all day. Yeah. I mean, they had a couple big chunks, but otherwise they just little by little just chopped away. I mean, Kelsey, he had 100 yards, 105 yards. I don't know exact what on 11 catches. So that just, I mean, and I don't know, one of them might have been for 1 yard and one of them might have been for 50. I'm just saying, but on average, they didn't have a lot of explosive plays. It was just a lot of consistency, and we just kept looking. Lamar was playing hero ball all day. He was playing hero ball, and it's just not.
He caught his own pass.
He did. He did catch his own pass.
Did you see the meme? Did you see the meme?
I don't know if I saw the meme.
It was so they used Gisele Bundchen's quote, saying he can't throw it to himself when she was talking about Tom Brady, and then they just show the clip of Lamar throwing it to himself.
You know, and if we had won, that would be all over the place, right? But it was in a losing effort, and he got fantasy points for both a 13-yard pass and a 13-yard reception. That's right. So they did count it, and you know the last quarterback that I know for a fact that accomplished the same feat was the gunslinger Brett Favre. His first ever pass was to himself. I'm sure there has to have been a quarterback that's done it since, but that's the only one I'm aware of.
When you're talking about the routes, it reminded me of the first half of the Houston game, where they were blitzing, and I remember tweeting this because I use the Twitter so often. I was like, why doesn't Lamar use hot routes? And then I was like, well, maybe Monken doesn't have it in his offense. And then in the second half, it looked they changed to those shorter intermediate routes. For whatever reason, they didn't make that same adjustment in the second half of this game. And it was the same defensive strategy. It was blitz 5 and play man. And you're right. They were literally trying to go down. They were pushing it down the field the whole time, and I think that's what they thought would stop that pass rush. When all they had to do was they could have rushed into it or away from it. Because between Justice Hill and Gus Edwards, they only had, I believe it was 5 rushing attempts between the two of them. That's it. No, Lamar had the other 8, and they weren't all designed runs. You can't be the leading rushing team in the NFL and only rush it 5 times with your running backs.
You have to do what you do.
Right.
And it reminded me of one of my favorite teams, the Capitals. So when the Capitals would play this freewheeling, aggressive offense, back in the 2010, early 2010s in that area, and they would then go to the playoffs and all of a sudden get conservative. And they get conservative and they lose. And they get bounced out of the first round by stupid teams like Montreal and the Islanders, or lose to the Penguins in the second round. It's because they play conservative. And to me, this looked like someone playing scared and playing conservative. You got there going balls out, and you didn't do it here. And then when you did pass, it was that stupid shit off in the flats, the little dump-off passes, like the check down to the check down to the check down route, or immediately stop the ball and throw it, but the DB's on him just blasting him. Then they're even running stuff around the outside. Like, NFL there's a reason that those plays don't work in the NFL. And you go to the playoffs against one of the better defenses in the league, you think it's going to work now? Why don't you just, this is not high school ball. Run a reverse next time. Reverse!
Well, and that's one thing that doesn't get talked about, is since Steve Spagnuolo became the defensive coordinator in Kansas City, the Kansas City defense has actually been really good. My issue was you got Zay Flowers, who's really good with yards after the catch, and you keep just trying to send him down the field. Like, put him on an 8-yard in, hit him, and let him run. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of those things where one of the weird things I noticed toward the end of the year, and even toward the middle of the year, Lamar was making completions down the field. And I think they got a little... they try to lean into it a little bit too much, but if you look at some of those receptions, his long balls were either vastly underthrown and the receiver just made a hell of a play, or he really overshot the receiver by a ton. And I used the example of the Zay Flowers reception in the game yesterday. He was beyond wide open, and Lamar threw it where Zay had to literally stop to catch the ball. Like he didn't even, like, it wasn't even slow down. It was stop, turn around, and he almost come back for it. The amazing catch that he threw across the field to Likely in that one other game. Again, Likely had to go up and make a play on that. It wasn't like it was an awesome thrown ball. No, Likely went up and got it. The touchdown pass to Likely in the divisional round, he had to jump over a dude to get it in double coverage, which is exactly, I guarantee you that's exactly why he threw that ball into triple coverage. It was too likely. And, he and Likely were both saying, throw it up. Mm-hmm. So he threw it up.
But it wasn't up. That interception.
It wasn't up enough.
First of all, he as soon as that play started, the receiver starts waving his hand like the signal to Lamar, like, throw me the ball. Mind you, it wasn't just triple coverage. I mean, they were already in his face. Like, it was all three of them in front of him. There wasn't like there was a guy coming from behind he didn't see. No, they were like all
three of them were there, and then they had, like, safety help over the top.
And, and unlike that throw in the divisional round that you were talking about, and the reason Lamar threw it up to Likely like that is because the play before he threw it low, right, and Likely kind of gave him, the raise the roof hand signal and said, hey, throw it up. So in that even with triple coverage, if Lamar had thrown it up where it was going to be a jump ball situation where maybe we toe touch on that back line, then there's a shot. That ball was thrown chest height almost into the triple coverage. Like, there's no way. And everyone wants to say, oh, PI. Listen, that ball, I think the ball was intercepted before the PI even happened, because the guy that was interfering, quote unquote, was the third player between the ball and him, right? So it was intercepted by the first guy. So it's like that pass interference, if it wasn't, maybe it was. It had nothing to do with that play. Even if they didn't touch that wide receiver, that ball is intercepted.
But even the Nelson Aguilar ball, overthrown. The Bateman ball, overthrown. He's not throwing. He doesn't throw over the shoulder to the outside. He's throwing to the inside and overthrows them. Like, you got to give your guys a shot at some of those balls. Now, he gets, I think likely saves him a couple times. I think the other balls, I think Odell, believe it or not, I think saved him on a couple of those balls too. Not yesterday, but during the season. Because Odell could make the adjustments, and they try after the game. They try and no, it was my fault. I ran the wrong direction. They're covering for Lamar a little bit, but it's like, come on, you're in year 6. If throwing downfield isn't a strong point, why isn't Monken doing the underneath and middle routes? He throws 65-70%.
But this isn't something that's unique to Lamar. Like to us, it's front and center. We see it, and we're, and we're like, come on, Lamar, this is year 6. But at the end of every wide receiver core out there is bailing out their quarterbacks, some more than others. And some are better than others. Like there was that Kelsey catch where, in midfield, the ball, I was it tipped? Was it a bad throw? I can't remember. And just an amazing catch. And that's what part of just is so frustrating, because I really dislike all of them in Kansas City. But it's the Patriots of the early to mid to late 2000s where they're just good.
They're the new Patriots.
They are the new Patriots, and I you know what? I hated the Patriots back then. I hated Tom Brady, and now I hate Patrick Mahomes, and I don't hate Andy Reid. He's just kind of like a little friendly role.
I like Andy Reid. I was in college when he was coaching in Philadelphia, and I went to school near Philadelphia, so there's a lot of Eagle fans there. My roommate was a big Eagle fan. My mom and dad were Eagle fans, so I kind of pulled for them. They're kind of my NFC team. But I liked him in Philadelphia. And then he goes to Kansas City. And the first couple, I didn't hate him. I've hated the team since it's become just the constant. Every single game you're seeing the fake corporate bromance between Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes and Jake from State Farm. And they're on every commercial.
That's not Jake from State Farm.
Right. Jake too.
Jake, yeah.
So
Jacob from State Farm.
But it's and part of my gripe is just with the NFL itself, just the corporate, just the big money ads, and that's what it's all about. But and then when you listen, especially like Collinsworth, when he's performing verbal fellatio on the Chiefs, I almost want to just watch the game on ESPN Deportes. Let's watch it in Spanish. So I can't understand them.
The Manning cast.
Yeah.
I love the Manning cast.
But, no, I agree. I can't stand him. And when Kelsey was new, I thought he was all right, but he's become such an enormous douchebag.
Yeah, he really has.
So the shit he did to Justin Tucker before the game, Tucker was like, he didn't care. He's like, whatever. It's,
Well, Tucker was doing what he was doing on purpose. Mm-hmm. He's stretching. Listen, from a kicker that's warming up, you don't do that at the 3 or whatever yard line he was at. You're not setting your tee up in the end zone. You got that tee out at the 45, the 50, normal kicker stuff. So the fact that, and I don't love it and I don't think that I don't think that really had an impact on the game, but he was down there purposely, and maybe it was all in good fun because he was smiling the whole time.
Well, he responded.
Do you have a quote?
Yeah. So essentially, what he said was, he goes, before every game, each kicker, and he said this was 90 minutes before the game, each kicker gets access to both ends of the field. So the Chiefs kicker is down on the Ravens end of the field, doing the same thing that Tucker's doing over here. And he said before the video started, apparently Mahomes asked him to move his helmet and ball so he could take some warm-up throws. So when you see the video, Tucker's already moved his helmet and his balls and his tee over so that Mahomes can do some throwing. Mind you, 90 minutes before a game, right? They're not even in pads yet. Tucker's getting... So this is a special teams time. This is when the specials are out there doing their thing. So Tucker moves his stuff. he's stretching, and this is when Kelsey comes over and pulls his dickhead move, where he took his helmet and literally rolled it away, took the balls and threw them. It's like, come on, man. You're not Mr. Tough Guy. I'm sorry.
So in hockey,
yeah,
like there's some etiquette. Like you stay on your side. Like if you skate over and you just skate, so the other team's warming up at their end of the rink and you're warming up on your end of the rink. A giant FU is when you skate over and you just cross your foot over the red line. That's a giant FU. Mm-hmm. Had that happened, like skate down and shoot a puck into the other team's net during warm-ups, you're having a brawl. There should be a brawl during warm-ups. Yeah. I would have wanted to see a brawl. See, Kelsey should have got his ass kicked right then.
Well, there was no one out there with him.
But that did lead to some more jawing. But so apparently, by all accounts, Tucker was not in the wrong in this situation. In fact, he was accommodating the Chiefs by moving his stuff, right? And he literally said, this is what happens before every game. And they just, like, Travis Kelce or, white boy Rick just had a problem with it this time. It's like, and I think it was on purpose from Kelce and Mahomes that they were doing this. Because Kelce was talking shit the entire game. He had that shit-eating grin on his face, and they would zoom in on him. And it was just like, God, you're a fucking douchebag. Mm-hmm. Like he just looks like an asshole.
Yeah.
He's got that shit-eating grin.
He looks like a state trooper. Like, you know what I mean?
Except with a beard. He's got a beard.
Well, but
we both know what he looks like, and we won't say it. And that's why I call him White Boy Rick.
Yeah.
And I'll say this: another thing that the Ravens struggled with is this season, and my numbers might be off, so please excuse me. But I think they won. I think it's 8 games by 2 scores, and I think 5 of those games they won by 20 or more. So they're used to playing with the attitude of being on top, and not just on top, but like well in advance. Just a big score differential. So then we're in this Chiefs game, and it's chirping back and forth, and they got caught up in the moment, like their stupid penalties, and you can say whatever you want about the officials. Oh, it's the NFL's rigged, and they put this official that the away team wins 60% of the time, and there's a lot of stuff that could have been called both ways. And everyone points to that Zay Flowers incident where he got called for taunting. It was a great catch, a great run. He gets down inside the 10, I think it was, and then after he gets tackled, he gives the guy an extra push. And then a little flex over top, and they threw the flag. And you know what?
But that happened because the guy grabbed his leg.
You know what?
He was literally. It wasn't really a kick. He was trying to get his leg out.
But the problem was that he was standing over top of him while he was on the ground, right? And that's the difference. Everyone's like, "Oh, that one time, how many times did Kelsey point in their face?" And it's like, listen, you're going to get away with that stuff.
So that taunting penalty,
and the ball drop.
Yes. The NFL has zero credibility on this because they literally have a camera set up in the end zone for the defenses to do these stupid dances and flexes and poses, and then they have the choreographed end zone celebrations. But that's a flag.
Well, because but you can't. But they don't allow you to do any of that directly in front of or in the face of the opposing players.
You can knock the guy's head off, but you can't. Stop. It's a dumb rule. It's a stupid rule. If you're going to allow the other shit in the end zone, what's the difference? It's stupid.
Do you
get rid of it? Like, it's a dumb rule.
This happened earlier in the year because this came up. There was this one guy, and I can't remember who. A team was playing the Steelers, and this one guy that got cut from the Steelers got a sack. And as he's getting up from the sack, he kind of was like walking toward the Steelers sideline, but he didn't go over the hash mark. And he kind of turned back to go to his sideline, and the ref called him for taunting. So, like, these taunting calls have been questioned all year.
Yeah, they're subjective.
Yeah, I mean, and that one was really Bush League. I mean, that was the bad call, and everyone said it at the time. Most of the pundits this time said the only reason why Zay Flowers got that flag thrown on him was because he dropped the ball.
It was more of a
right
spin.
At the feet.
It's more of a spin.
He spun it.
He spun it. I think Alex has been. He gently placed the ball down by the defender. I'm like,
it's like the rule's there, but with the other things they allow, but it's a stupid rule. They either need to get rid of the freaking selfie camera, like you have at a wedding, in the fucking end zone, and get rid of the choreographed celebrations, and then enforce the taunting law, or get rid of the taunting law.
But what Josh is saying, it's different if you do it in the face of like the opponent versus doing a little celebratory thing in the camera away from all the other players, and that's the difference.
I mean, come on, the babies, they can't take it.
You can't say you don't like when T.O. pulled the Sharpie out of his sock and signed the football, or you had a phone stashed under the thing. I'm going to T.O. for a lot of these things, right? Because the popcorn.
One of the best is when he spiked the ball on the star.
Yeah, spiked the ball on the star. Did he? Well, was it him or someone else that pretended to pull their pants down and defecate? That was Randy Moss.
No. So Randy Moss did like the moon.
Yeah,
where he mooned the crowd, and Joe Buck was like, "Oh, that's disgusting."
So, I mean, listen,
that's why I don't like Joe Buck.
I think there's times and places for things like that, and I don't even like it when they get a sack, right? They get a sack and they start celebrating it, and it's tough, right? Because you're in this competition, right? And you're banging heads with these guys all game long, and then finally, after like play 60, you finally get to the quarterback and you sack him. And for us to sit on our couches and be like, "Sir, you should stand up from that tackle and walk casually back to the hut," like that guy's pumped, like he can barely contain himself, right? So like I have to catch myself sometimes because I do. I'm like, "What are you dancing for, man?" Like that was like, but sometimes
what I think is funny is when they start dancing, like, dude, you're down by 30 points.
Well, it's like when Kelsey gets the first down, but Mark Andrews does the same stupid thing.
They all kind of do it.
You don't got to celebrate every first down. You caught a 7-yard ball.
I remember playing. My high school coaches, they'd always say, "Act like you've been there."
Right.
And that's kind of the attitude we took. Like, there was no big celebration. There was just act like you've been there. Like, I do this all the time. I don't celebrate. This is small stuff. So I kind of like, that's the attitude I always took when I played. And like when I coached my kids, I thought, act like you've been there. You hit a maybe single, and then you reach second on air. Like, don't do the sprinkler thing. Like, right. You're not Gunnar Henderson.
I think as athletes, there's only a few times when you should go full bore celebration. You do something to win a game at the very end. So like two outs, bottom of the ninth, you hit a dinger to win the game. All right, you're bouncing around. Everyone's jumping around, right? Or you catch a touchdown in overtime to win a game. Yeah, you're celebrating that, right? But if you literally catch a touchdown in the first quarter of a football game, all right, act like you've been there.
Yeah.
If you caught a 7-yard ball for a first down, act like you've done it before. Oh, because by the way, you have.
Yeah.
You did it last game. This isn't if you did it 3 plays ago. How many dances do you have?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? And I'll give Zay the flowers, the benefit of the doubt. He is a rookie, and he doesn't play like a rookie because he plays well beyond having now 1 year, but less than a year in the league. So he is a little mature. I don't know how old he is. My guess is it's 20, 21, something like that, right? And I'm not making excuses for him, but I mean, it is what it is. The man made a mistake, he let the emotions get the best of him. But he's not the only one.
Yeah.
I mean, what was it Smith? What was it? The intentional offsides where he blew? What was it? The guard, the right guard? I don't know who it was, but he blew, and they got a 15 instead of a 5-yard penalty for encroachment. It was a 15-yard penalty for encroachment because and that was frustration at that point. That wasn't celebration.
Van Noy got a 15-yard penalty, like for unsportsmanlike.
Yeah, there was a lot of that
the
going
unsportsmanlike stuff. So when you have an asshole like Kelsey jaw-jacking at you, and you fall into it, you're doing everyone you guys know hockey's my thing, and it's like when you have the instigator like Marchand or Corey Perry or even Tom Wilson, like you're falling into it. Don't fall into their trap. Like, don't fall into this douchebag's trap. Don't give him the satisfaction, but they can't help themselves. And my thing is, if you're going to get called for it, take his head off. Like, if you get roughing the passer call, take his head off, murder him.
Well, we did on that one roughing the passer call.
His head almost popped.
He whacked Patrick Mahomes really good because I remember watching it. And at first, we're like, "What? He barely touched him." And then they showed the replay. We're like, "Okay, no, yeah."
The funny part was that was probably the most unintentional penalty of the day.
Yeah, he didn't really know. Yeah, he really did. I mean, it was just
he was sticking his arm out because he saw him coming.
He thought he was going to try to like swat the ball or something like that, and there was no ball. It was just Patrick's stupid face.
It was all grill.
Kermit the Frog. With his head that's too big for his body.
I can't stand that dude. I can't stand him because he's an asshole. His wife's an asshole. His brother's an asshole.
His dad won't even sit in the box with all those people.
Nope, he won't. Apparently he was tailgating with Ravens fans. It's like, wow, you just like your son that much.
And I'll go to the one play, even though you have your opinion on the game. The one play that I think is what changed the game. And that was the fumble on the 6-inch line. They punched that ball in there. I believe it's a tied game. I think it
would have been 17-14.
17
was 17-10 at the time.
Yeah.
17 to
No, wait, I'm sorry.
So do the math again there.
Hold on.
It would have been 17-14 had they.
Yes.
Because the field goal came later.
It was 17-7 at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So, but the momentum had shifted in our direction. We're driving downfield. Yeah, we had gotten that 15-yard penalty for unsportsmanlike, but we went right back in there. And he didn't need to do it. He didn't need to extend his arms. He probably was going to get in either way, but the man's just trying to make a play. And
I don't blame him.
And that rule's debatable. There's been a lot of talk this season about what should happen if you fumble the ball, into the end zone. Now, in this situation, it didn't go out of bounds, which would have been on my touchback. They recovered it.
Okay.
First off, great camera angle on that pylon cam, by the way. There was no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like the perfect angle. I mean, you could clearly see it. And, man, just heartbreaking. And honestly, that was kind of the nail in the coffin because that just completely took the wind out of their sails.
Well, I'll give Zay Flowers a little bit of grace on that one because, now granted, he's a professional football player, but we kids are always teaching him to extend out to get that extra yard from like football birth. They always. And there was just a time where
especially at the goal line.
Yeah.
He was just trying to make a play. I don't blame him at all.
Yeah. Just kind of hold on to that ball, though, man. Like, I get it.
What also it drives me nuts when I watch Lamar run around and hold the ball with one hand.
Right.
Like, okay, dude, you're fast. Tuck the ball, man. Just freaking.
I hear what you're saying, and that has to happen. But the strip fumble. The guy came from behind. Lamar didn't see it. I'm not worried
about that.
Right, but like I couldn't tell you the last time Lamar fumbled the ball.
It was early in the season.
He seemed to have a problem early. I remember texting my buddy.
No, but I mean, I just mean like
fumble.
I think after the fourth or fifth game, that was solved.
Yeah.
I don't think he's fumbled since.
Yeah, but
this might have been the first one.
That's just. I mean, he's coming up. Had that guy hit his arm half a second later, that's an incomplete pass.
Yeah.
So,
I don't like the way he kind of sidearms those swing passes. Like when he did that swing pass to Zay Flowers and was it Frank Clark or whatever he was, batted it down because it was.
That was a dump. That was just.
The play. If that ball's caught, that he's going for a little while. He's running, but it's on tape that Lamar likes to do that little sidearm thing on the swing passes. He seems to bounce the ball to the receiver when he does get it through the lineman. It's like, brother, man, like I get it. You've got all the athletic gifts in the world, but don't be fucking lazy. Use your proper footwork. Use an overhand or 3/4 throw. Give it a quick pump to get Frank off his feet, and then throw it to Zay.
He is who he is because of the way that he throws that ball.
When I see him do it,
I get it, but part of it's lazy though. Because your athletic gifts can overcome.
I don't
laziness.
know. Like I have a hard time swallowing. Leave that pause there. The fact that Lamar and let's just say it now, he's probably on the verge of winning his second MVP. Throws in that fashion because it's easier for him and he's lazy. I'm not buying it. I don't.
I think he does it because he thinks he's going to throw it around the defensive
end. That's exactly what he was trying to do there.
The problem is, though, it's on film. And these defensive ends know that. That's why look at Frank's arm. It's down here because he sees, once he saw Lamar's arm dip, he put his arm down. He basically went arm on arm. Now, and that's from watching film. It's on film. Now, if in that game, he's either got to pump fake it real quick and then throw to get, because once Frank's off his feet, then the pump fake, you got it. Go right over his head. But he seems to miss those little swings. He missed the one to Justice Hill. He misses the one to Zay. It's like, you got to. He
didn't have his best game.
You got to complete easy wins.
He didn't. I mean, he's been on a streak. Not the first half of the divisional round, but the second half of the divisional round, and he didn't play in the Steelers game, last game of the season. But I mean, for the 5 games before that, I mean, he's not just him, but the whole team's been on a roll, and that roll came to an end, and they didn't have their best game against a team that had a really good game.
I always wonder when they sit all those players. They did it this season. They lost in 19. When they lost to Tennessee in the first round, when they were number one seed, and here they are. Now it's one game away from the Super Bowl, but here they are again. Like
49ers rested their players too, so.
And look at the teams. Some of the teams that didn't, they got their players. Like TJ Watt got hurt.
There was teams. It's like 50-50. You can. They have statistics where they're like, hey, this team started all their players week 18, right, or week 17, whatever it is now, right, and then they lose. And then you have teams that rest their players and they win. And you have teams that rest their players and they lose. And you have teams that play their players and lose. Like. I mean, these guys are professionals. They're playing 17 weeks out of the season. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, it's good cannon fodder. Like, we talk about it. It's on the radio. Like, all the TV shows are talking about it. But at the end of the day, like, I mean,
I put it this way. And I actually put this on Twitter. I did like one of my very first Twitter threads. I did a 4-message thread.
Oh,
I basically said. I'd rather have Lamar and not win a Super Bowl than not have Lamar at all. And the reason why I say this is because for 19 weeks, I feel as Ravens fans, we got an exciting football team.
Did we?
I was entertained for 19 weeks. Mm-hmm. We're not the Panthers. Thank God for that. We're not the Cardinals.
Commanders.
We're not the Commanders. We're not the Falcons.
Bears.
I mean, the way Giants. I see it is, when we watched those games, even in the games we lost, I was thoroughly entertained. I saw someone do something that I could never do, and that I don't see other quarterbacks in the league do. You look at Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Pat Mahomes. What's the guy for the Chargers? I mean, we've seen that football. It's Peyton Manning. It's Tom Brady. It's all those guys. The only other time we've seen anything like Lamar was Michael Vick. And Lamar is about 10 times the passer Michael Vick was.
Right.
We're finally, I mean, even if you go back further, Randall Cunningham, Steve Young. I mean, they were
McNabb.
But they were nowhere near the athlete this dude is.
Yeah. And the thing is like, what's the alternative? Like
what, Kyle Bowler? We're gonna go back to Kyle Bowler?
Yeah, I mean we're not gonna do that, but like we're first off, I mean I'm not saying that, yeah, and I'm not saying
Joe Flacco.
Yeah. Listen, and I'm one of the camo pant wearing like diehard fans, right? So listen, I agree, man. I miss Joe, but I love Joe and I support Joe, but like. Lamar's our guy. They can say that, hey, he couldn't win in the playoffs, and then he did. And it's like, now he can't win 2 games in the playoffs in a given year, right? His overall record in the playoffs is 2-4. He's only won 2 games. He's lost 4. But, what are we going to do? We're going to say, oh, he's 2-4 in the playoffs. Let's get rid of him. No, because there is no alternative. We're always too good. We're never going to get the first round pick like the Bears and the Commanders and the Giants and the Patriots. Now the Patriots, right? I'm glad they're struggling and miserable up there in New England. But at the end of the day, he's our guy. And like you said, you said it before I could, and I'm just going to piggyback on it. Like, this was a hell of a ride. We went to the AFC Championship game, right? All these other teams we all have these friends that we have Commanders friends and all these other friends, Pittsburgh friends, and all this stuff. They're like, oh, there's Lamar. He sucks. Like, guess what? Guess what, bitch? We played in the last possible game in January, right? Yeah, we didn't play in the game. There's only 2 teams out of all 32 that make it to the one game in February. And you know what? Yeah, we damn sure wanted it to be us, right? I mean, we did. I wanted it so bad. But guess what? It wasn't to be. But I traded for the Super Bowl, of course, but otherwise, no.
Yeah. Well, I love your positive take on it. It's funny because, like, when I got home and I did put the Detroit game on, and, I'm prepping food for the week, and I'm watching that game, and I'm looking at Facebook, and here come all the freaking Redskin fans. Oh, how about that, Baltimore? I'm like, how about what? Like, y'all been playing golf since Christmas.
They haven't played a meaningful football game since October.
Yeah.
Actually, it wasn't that meaningful.
And it probably wasn't meaningful then either, right?
I would say they haven't played a meaningful
since Robert Griffin III was playing for them. Was the last meaningful game they had.
And that was one season.
Yeah.
They weren't relevant for 10 years before that either.
Yeah. So over the last 20 years, they've had one relevant. Every now and then they make it into the playoffs because at the time the NFC East sucks. And here they are like, oh, how about that, Baltimore? What now? I'm like, what? So, and there's no football rivalry between the two teams. I don't understand. It's just Redskin fans running their stupid mouths. Or commode. I call them the commodes.
It's jealousy, and I'll say this to you, Commanders fans out there: if you think the fact that you got rid of Dan Snyder and suddenly now you're getting rid of Ron Rivera, and suddenly that's the only part of you that you are missing, guess what? I'll talk to you next October when you're already eliminated from the playoffs, because I can tell you this right now. You're not one player away. You're not one coach away. Your organization, I don't care if you move stadiums. I don't care where you play, what you're doing. You just are awful. And you are going to continue to be awful. And we may not make it to the Super Bowl every year, but guess what? If you go to FanDuel, I guarantee you, I promise you that the Ravens are going to be in that list of teams that you can bet on to go to the Super Bowl. and while the Commanders might be on that list, it's going to be like plus 6 digits long.
Like if you make that bet and you win, you're going to be a millionaire.
Yeah, you're going to be even a $5 bet, and you're going to be able to retire. Okay, so just
the lottery.
You know what? You don't need to like Lamar, but you know what? He's our guy. I wouldn't trade him for anything in the world. And you know what? We had a hell of a ride. And I mean, from start to finish, every week I enjoyed watching this team play. I mean, what did we? How many games did we lose all season? Was it 4 regular season games? 3. So we lost 4 games all season long. We lost 4 games all season long. I think the Commanders only won 3.
Well, technically, we didn't try in one of them.
And we didn't try on one of those losses. We sat our players, right?
The win was nobody got hurt.
Listen,
Pro Bowl quarterback Tyler Huntley played in that game.
Listen, there's teams out there that I respect, and I don't like them. I hate the Chiefs. I respect the Chiefs. They're just good. I hate it. Fucking hate them, but I respect them. You know, the Lions, you got to respect them. And what's our coach, Dan Campbell? God, you know what? I'd play for that guy. You know, and the other teams out there like the Bills, they struggle, but I respect them. But there's teams that I have respect for, and guess what? The fans of those teams aren't the ones talking shit about Lamar and it's the teams that are fucking god awful, and they're so jealous of the success of the sustained success that we have. And sure, we may make the playoffs every year, and we might, maybe we lose in the first round. I'd rather lose in the first round than be like talking about draft picks in November. Yeah. Where
Let's
are we going to
lose this
land on
game
draft
and get
picks?
off of the draft picks.
So just go enjoy your draft picks.
And the thing is, it's
losers.
It's not all commode fans that act like this. I have some good friends that are like loyal fans. They're a good group. And, like, they get it. They know the organization's been trash and screwing them for years. But they're still there. I give that to them. It's the freaking douchebags as well. Like, duh. Like, you look like you're with us. No, we're not. We've never been with you.
What's that, Commanders?
Yeah.
Right. And they're all like, now that Dan Snyder's gone and Ronnie Rivera's out, now we're going to turn this around. You're not going to turn it around.
Okay, you still don't have half a roster.
No, your team still sucks.
Like, you're not turning the ship around. The ship is at the bottom of the ocean.
Right.
They literally traded away their 2 best defensive players this year for a second-round pick. Like, good luck. Have fun with that.
How awesome would it be if Sweat arrived in Baltimore? Because look at, like, Clowney. They picked up that dude. Roquan. They picked up, like, all these former first-round draft picks. Let's pick up Sweat.
They do a good job picking up those older outside linebackers. Like, they got him with Clowney. They got Van Noy. I mean, Van Noy was on his couch when he came over. Mm-hmm. I do have a feeling that either Matabike or Queen are gone. Mm-hmm. Maybe both of them.
So, yeah.
We can't afford Queen.
So Queen, he cleaned out his locker today. He's a free agent. And he doesn't know what's going to happen. You know, maybe I say cleaned out his locker. They all kind of cleaned out their locker.
Yeah,
I mean, here's the thing: unless you're on a long-term deal, like for the most part, you clean out your locker. Like like Lamar's, he's leaving stuff in his locker, but they're all cleaning it out. But man, it sucks because for the first time in a long time, I always say that this isn't our father's defense, our father's Ravens, right? When we took it for granted, it was Ray Lewis, all the legends that they had come back for this game that I wish they would have signed them to a 1-day contract and let them play. I don't know how effective they would have been.
To let Ray Lewis just blast Travis Kelce.
But
let him get ejected within the first 3 minutes.
Having Queen and Smith in that defensive, in that DB role, and Hamilton, for the first time in a long time, this was kind of like those defenses, and there was clips of Smith. I had to do a double take because he's getting the team fired up before the game, and I'm like, has anyone seen Smith and Ray Lewis in the same room at the same time? And
they watched film. They did a film.
They did. We have seen them in the same room because I saw that. I saw that
they
clip.
watched film together. It was amazing.
Yeah,
to see Ray literally was talking with Roquan, and it was I'm baffled by it. I'm just wow, this is way over my head, but it's great to watch.
And one other thing out there, and I'll say this: the same people that talk trash about Lamar, say the same thing about Harbaugh. Oh, we need new blood. Harbaugh sucks. Blase, blase. What is the alternative? Because let me tell you something right now. You see these clips where the players love him. The players love him. I mean, he's in the locker room dancing. They're going crazy. Listen, I don't put this. I mean, yeah, maybe the game plan wasn't good, but man, what's the alternative?
Well, and the thing is, when you look at a team like Baltimore, and I'm going to throw Pittsburgh in there. I'm going to throw now Kansas City in there, New England until just this year. These teams, they keep their head coach forever. They don't just get rid of. Look at what Washington does. They have a bad season, fire the coach, new quarterback, 13 quarterbacks playing the season, all this kind of dysfunction, and there needs to be some consistency in there, and Harbaugh provides that consistency. And you're right. Who else do you go and hire?
There's no one better. I won't say there's no one better than him, but there's no one available.
Here's my issue with Harbaugh.
Here we go. He's one of them, by the way.
Andy Reid is a stable head coach, but he calls his own offensive plays. Mm-hmm. My issue with Harbaugh is he's more susceptible to coordinators leaving, either on the defensive or offensive side, because he doesn't call plays on either side of the ball. So there is a consistency that lacks from that, but at the same time, other than Reid, I'm trying to think of a head coach that's in that older generation that calls plays on one side or the other, and the only one I could think of, and Pete Carroll never did this, but he was a defensive coordinator before he was a head coach. He could call a game if he had to. But nowadays, what's happening is these younger guys are getting called up to be head coaches in their 30s, but they're retaining whatever play calling they had when they were coordinators, and then leaving the other side of the ball to the other coach. So if they ever lose the other coordinator, they at least have the consistency on their side of the ball because they're staying. That's the only reason I could see why you would let Harbaugh go if they wanted to make McDaniel or McDonald the head coach.
Does Tomlin call his own plays?
He doesn't. But
did Belichick?
He at some point, yeah, he
was. At some point, he did. Yeah, at some point.
I think Tom Brady called.
He was on a headset too.
Yeah. That whole listen. We know who won. Listen, I think it's clear where most of that success came from.
Yeah,
up there, and
Peyton Manning pretty much was the offensive coordinator.
Well, he had that old. It was that really old guy, Tom something, who was Tom Moore was his longtime coordinator. Now here's the other thing: Tom Moore never went to go become a head coach. He just stayed Peyton Manning's coordinator.
He was essentially just Peyton Manning's eye in the sky, telling them what they were doing. But I think Peyton Manning would go out there, and I was talking to a buddy of mine, and I said, Lamar doesn't call his own plays, and he said, well, I think they gave him. He said, I think they gave him some more freedom. I said, he'll go in there with a package with 3 or 4 different, and he can audible in and out amongst those 3. But he's not calling plays like Manning was calling plays. That was an offensive coordinator who threw the football.
Right.
But he's a freak of nature in that regard. I'm not doing it trying to say this to put Lamar Jackson down at all.
No, that was Peyton Manning for crying out loud.
It's generational talent. That's
yeah. And from what he talked about it one time, and I guess Tom, because I guess the mic the earpiece goes off at a certain time on the play clock. So
10 seconds.
And so Tom would basically be like, "Hey, why don't we take a shot in the middle, or let's throw it deep to the outside?" And Peyton would put them in the play to do that. Mm-hmm. Tom was basically saying, "Here's the idea. You pick the play to do it." But that again, though, you're talking about a Hall of Fame quarterback, one of a generation.
Oh yeah,
I don't know. I was going to go back to your comment about Joe Flacco, though. I think people's thoughts about Joe Flacco it's a little bit revisionist history. Because when Joe was here during the regular season, he would just get crushed because of some bad decisions he would make on the field. Joe had some bad decisions and bad interceptions, but because he won the Super Bowl, that Super Bowl year, he had that amazing run through the playoffs where he threw 8 touchdowns or 11 touchdowns, 1 pick,
0 interceptions, so 11-0. But tied the other Joe Montana for the best interception to touchdown ratio in playoff history.
So, but I guess my point is, Joe got crushed during the regular season. And don't get me wrong, Joe was a different quarterback when it came playoff time, but Joe had a lot of downs when he played. And
he was volatile.
And at the time, fans let him know about it. But he wasn't that loved when he played.
But there's just something about him I trusted me. Just a pocket passer.
You trusted him to throw picks. Joey Pickles. You trusted him to throw picks at the wrong time.
But when he the thing is though, it's like a former president. Well, except this last former president that people still hate, but everyone thought everyone hated George W. Bush, and then now he's the former. Everyone loves him.
That's the biggest turnaround I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He's God.
And I think it's the same with the quarterback. We just remember the good times.
We really do. It's revisionist history. It's the rose-colored glasses when you look back. Because he won a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Because I remember Will Ferrell hosted SNL, and he reprised his role as George W. Bush. And he said, "Don't forget, y'all love me now, but don't forget, I was bad. I was really bad."
Back when SNL was funny.
Yeah. Mm. Well, they let him make fun of Joe Biden again. So,
are they?
The corporate overlords must be tired of him.
At the end of the day, like I said, I wouldn't trade this season. I mean, we didn't win, but listen, we're not that team that's going to win it every year. But every year we make the playoffs. It's fun. It's entertaining, and at least on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, who knows what Beckham's going to do, but I mean, he's older. He doesn't get the separation, so I'm not too worried about him. But on the offensive side of the ball, I think we have a good future there for the next couple of years. Defense, it's unsure. Queen. It's going to be hard to afford some of these guys.
I think they're going to be so. Matapike is probably going to be gone, but the Ravens' track record of drafting and developing defensive linemen is amazing. Queen wasn't Queen before Roquan got here, so maybe he has that effect on the next middle linebacker. The safeties are pretty much set. The corners are pretty much set.
Yeah.
I'm not really worried about that defense because Hamilton is ridiculously talented.
Yeah,
and so is Roquan. I'm not worried about that.
He's only 22.
Who, Hamilton?
Yeah,
he's young.
Yeah, he was their first round pick 2 years ago. So Zay Flowers was our pick this year, and Hamilton was 22.
Well, and Mark Andrews getting hurt. Isaiah Likely was the tight end that they drafted him to be, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, why did they draft this guy to Coastal Carolina? Right. He's that good. He's good."
So let's bring up Mark Andrews for a second because
say his proper name, Madgers.
So he's been out since I don't know when he went down. It was
week 6 or 7.
He's been out for a while. So arguably, besides the Steelers game and maybe the first half of the divisional round, we've been rolling, and Likely has been playing out of his mind. Right, he's been playing fantastic. Andrews coming back. He didn't look terrible. Like I didn't see anything like, man, he's still like he's only half speed.
He did drop that ball.
He did drop the ball, but everyone drops balls. But like, did we need him to come back in that game? We had something that worked. I don't know. Like I always second guess. I always, man, I think about stuff that I do. I'm like, what did I do to affect that game? Right? I'm like, did I not do that?
I was worried that I shaved, that I cut my hair.
Right. Did I wear the right underwear, my lucky underwear? Did I, I
wore the exact same outfit I wore for the previous one.
I don't wear. So listen. Like I said before, I have my Ravens camo pants. Right. I got my Ravens jersey. I got my Stavi shirt that I wear underneath the jersey. I don't wash those clothes from week 1 till whenever our last Ravens game is. Right. So ketchup, mustard stains, whatever it may be, we roll with it. And historically speaking, for all you out there kind of throwing your lip and cringing, like we've had a really good track record.
I'd wash it after a loss.
Yeah, you don't wash it after a loss?
No.
Take advantage of the time.
That's just one loss, man. What are you talking about? You got to keep, you don't wash it off. But anyway. I
think you take advantage of the opportunity.
So I'm getting off track, but like, I don't know. Did bringing back Mark Andrews kind of screw up the mojo that our offense was doing? Or did it really not have that any effect?
I think if you bring back a top 3 tight end in the league, you bring him back.
Oh yeah, okay.
I don't know. It's not like you brought back Njoku from Cleveland. You didn't bring back Kyle Pitts out of Atlanta. You brought back a top 3 tight end.
Njoku crushed it for my fantasy team.
That's true. Because Joe loves to throw to tight ends. He basically made 3 other Pro Bowl tight ends. Unathletic guys like Todd Heap and what was the other guy? The other Mormon. We literally had like a run of like 3 different Mormon tight ends that just came in.
Yeah, who was their tight end when they won the Super Bowl?
Was it Heap? Who was the guy before him?
So Dixon. We had Ed.
Please.
We had Ed Dixon.
Hunter.
And are you talking about what Super Bowl are we talking about?
The Joe Flacco Super Bowl.
Joe Flacco he didn't have Heap. Heap was around for the 2000. He was there for the 2000 Super Bowl.
So who was that?
We had Ed Dixon and
some other white guy.
Jeez.
No, it was not that white guy. The Flying Tomato? No. Hunter, whatever?
No.
Hayden Hurst?
Yeah. No.
It wasn't him. It was another white guy. It was another white dude. I can't remember the name. He's a Mormon.
Not to the Google machine.
Right. Who was the other Mormon who played for the Ravens? You're going to think of it quick. I don't know. Regardless, I feel like
Dennis Pitta.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the other Mormon. Nothing against Mormons. I only remember them because they were both Mormons.
So Likely had 2 catches for 16 yards in the conference championship. 2 catches, 16 yards, and Andrews had 2 catches for 15 yards. So not a lot of production. Likely was targeted 3 times total, so he was targeted 3 times, caught 2 balls.
They're kind of an interception.
The 2 times Andrews was targeted, he caught the ball. He was targeted twice, 2 catches, 15 yards.
Then that stat isn't right because he dropped one right through his hands.
Was there a penalty on a play that negated the play and all? Listen, man.
Oh, maybe.
I
don't think so.
But either way, like let's just say that was a target. So the tight ends as a total were targeted 6 times all game, and for a team that has one of the top. Up to week 6, we had top 3 tight end in the league, right? Probably had ton targets then. And then Likely, who was a huge part of the offense, and was it the Chiefs defense saying, hey, we're going to take away the tight ends and we're going to make them beat us a little bit further down the field? Maybe, right? But, who knows? I'm just saying, just from all around, the offense it just didn't look good. And
I blame Todd Monken. I think all season he was a gem. I think he just called one of the worst games he's ever had at the wrong time. The play calling just was not good. Like we talked about earlier, there were no short and intermediate routes. There were no hot routes. They did not make the adjustments they made.
I think sometimes they overthink it, and they get so it has to be perfect. It's almost like a overthinking paralysis by planning, and then on the field they're gripping their stick too tight. You got to play loose. And when you're trying to make, you just have to, like I said, you have to do what you do, and don't alter your game plan too much because of another team. You do what you're good at.
And going back through and looking at some of the previous games, apparently our tight ends are only catching 2-3 balls a game anyway. They're just really significant catches, I guess, because it seems like on the surface I'm like, oh, our tight ends are tearing it up. But I went back to week 16, and I went back to the when we beat the Dolphins in week 16 or 17, 56 or whatever it was. Likely had 2 catches for 42 yards. One of those was a touchdown.
So I'm looking at
maybe it wasn't a big deal that they only had 2 catches each.
So I'm looking at Likely, and I'm thinking, man, this is going to be like Gronkowski, and if Aaron Hernandez wasn't crazy and a murderer.
I was not expecting him to go there.
Right? But think about it. Think if Aaron Hernandez hadn't been insane, and they had Hernandez and Gronkowski on that team.
Yeah.
Think of your jumbo set. I mean, it's like,
well, they're gonna use both of them next year. I think they're probably gonna use Andrews more in line, and they're gonna flex Likely out as more of a slot receiver as much as they can, and they'll bunch them in. They'll bunch them both of them in too. But I think they're gonna try and keep both of them on the field as much as possible. I think Bateman is gone. Brian Baldinger did a film study on. He did a Twitter film study. Man, Bateman is not a smart dude on the field. And one of the times, when Lamar, I think he got sacked on the run, as he was going toward the sideline, or he threw it away or something, and you can see him yelling at Bateman, what the hell are you doing? You're not doing what he was supposed to cut it up the field, and he just kept going straight across. And if he would have cut it up the field, it was a touchdown. But because Bateman's dumb as rocks, you literally see Lamar yelling at him. Very rarely have I seen him yell at a player on the field before they even got off, and he is literally just pissed at him for not doing what he was supposed to do. I think that dude's gone.
Yeah, he had 32 total receptions this regular season for just over 350 yards and only 1 touchdown all season long.
Yeah. Look, Zay's going to be either the 1 or 2. They're going to find someone opposite him, whether it's him.
He's going to be the one where unless we bring in a free agent wide receiver that is just a big name. he's going to be he's the number one guy this year, and we got Odell Beckham on the team right now. He's old. Odell's old, right? He's not the same guy that he is anymore. He's more of a role player now, but
if he's willing to come back on like a $6 or $7 million contract,
but he's not a number one receiver.
No. But I think if you
I'm okay with having him back. Sure.
But will he take? I mean, right now he's making $15 million a year. Do you think he comes back for?
I don't know. I'll tell you this. So I saw a clip earlier today where Lamar was sitting on the bench, and it was kind of like a comparison because I believe it was like 2 years ago where Odell was consoling. It was an opposing player actually after a game. I think it might have been the Super Bowl. I'm not sure, but it was almost like a mirrored image. Lamar sitting on the bench, and Odell was kind of like standing above him, leaning over, kind of giving him like a half hug, but you could tell he was talking in his ear. And Lamar's just kind of staring straight, kind of staring off into space, just listening to what Odell had to say. And you know, you have to appreciate that. I mean, he's a veteran player. You know, he won the Super Bowl. He won the Super Bowl.
He got a ring with the Rams.
He got a ring with the Rams.
He tore his
ACL
hurt like the game before or during the game,
and he won one with the Giants.
The Giants, yeah.
He was a rookie. So, that's when he had that one-handed catch.
Yeah. So listen, it's hard to put a price on that. I mean, not going to overpay for it, but like I think he likes Lamar. I mean, unless there's a team out there that's just going to pay him stupid money. There's
always the commodes,
right? I mean, if he still wants to play, and there's not someone out there that's going to throw stupid money at him, I think he comes back if he wants to.
But having that presence in the locker room is huge. I think Lamar benefited a lot from having RG3 as his backup for a couple years there too. So you know, some of the stuff that he had gone through with Washington and
listen, and all these other loser teams, the Commanders, Steelers, whoever else out there. Guess what you're not doing?
You threw the Steelers in there?
Steelers. They suck. Get out of here. I know they made the playoffs this year, and Tomlin, 17 seasons, and he's never had a losing record. Like, who gives a crap? You guys haven't won a playoff game since, like, 2014.
They haven't had a quarterback since then.
Well, there you go, right?
The fact that they're making the playoffs with no quarterback, come on.
They're shooting themselves in the foot by making the playoffs every year because they're just good enough to squeak into the playoffs and be completely irrelevant, and then they don't get a good draft pick because They really pushed and got over that 500 record. So guess what? When after it's all said and done, and you look back and you're like, man, we were always over 500. Guess what? You got nothing to show for it, right? The Ravens have a Super Bowl more recently than you, so suck it, okay? And all I'm saying is, to all those other teams out there, guess what? They're not having these conversations. Like, we're sitting here talking about like the pieces that are coming back, right? And we're like, we're going to keep this, we're going to keep that. None of these other teams are having this conversation. So, like I said, total disappointment. What happened? We should have went to the Super Bowl. Man, I was so pumped. But guess what? You know, I had a great season. I loved it. It was fun, and we're going to do it again.
Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next week.